Hello, hello. Welcome back. My name is Danae Wolf. I am a financial literacy coach and a profit strategist, which means that I help ambitious entrepreneurs like you increase your profits and decrease your stress. I do that by teaching you financial literacy in my signature program, Profit Perfect. Profit Perfect is my one stop shop for all things small business accounting. Now, don't worry, this is not the textbook accounting that your CPA studied in school. This is entrepreneurial accounting, which is all about making more money. Inside the program, you'll learn everything from how exactly taxes work, because if you understand them, you'll be able to save on them. We also will look into LLC structures versus an S Corp election. We break down everything you need to know about QuickBooks Online and cash flow management and much more. And one of my favorite parts about the program is that every week I hop into a Zoom room and my students are invited so that you can come in and ask me all of your burning financial questions. And what I want you to know is, let's say you take the course this summer and maybe you don't have a question for about 6 months. 6 months later, you can pop into the Zoom. I will still be there. We always do our Zoom meetings. It is one of my favorite parts of the course. We're able to get together, have some face-to-face time, and really create a safe space for you to ask any of your financial questions. So if you are really ready to take control of your money and stop letting it control you, I highly suggest you check out Profit Perfect, and we will have it linked below. Or go ahead and shoot me a DM on Instagram at the Chic CFO. Shoot me a message that says profit, and I will tell you everything you need to know about the program. Now, today we are live streaming onto my YouTube channel, into my Facebook page. We're going to put it on Instagram. And we also pull the audio and put it on our podcast over on Apple Podcasts. Now, we are going to be talking about a topic that I think there's just so much confusion about. And the title of this training is Why I Want You to Stop Saving. And I got some messages about that because people were like, wait, why do you not want me to save money? And don't worry, by the end of this video, you will understand what the better alternative is to saving money. Because the entire goal here is for your money to work for you. And I think that a lot of times in our society, there is definitely a message of saving, right? I don't believe well, I know statistically speaking, not everybody is actually saving. I'm going to butcher this statistic, but I want to say it's like the average American has less than like $300 in their savings account. Like, it's a startling, jarring statistic. But I think that most people hear a consistent message of saving. We're all told that you should save. Most of you have probably heard that we should have a nest egg of about 6 months of our operating expenses for our business and also personally at home, right? It used to be 3 months, but now that we've gone through COVID, we really want to see people with more like 6 months saved up. So essentially, we want to have money saved that, let's say, all of our income stopped. So God forbid a spouse lost a job, something happened in your business and you weren't operational, which is what happened during COVID. We want to make sure that you can support yourself for at least 6 months, right? So I'm a firm believer in having that. You guys want to sit down, take a look at your business and say, okay, what are all of my operational expenses that would continue even if I wasn't bringing in revenue? So you might have certain software subscriptions that you pay for, right? Maybe you have a social media manager, but go through and look at all of your expenses of your business and say, okay, if I didn't have revenue coming in the door, what bills would I still have to pay? Such as rent, right? You would still have rent. Your landlord doesn't care whether or not you had sales. And we all encountered this during COVID. So we are very familiar with this, but we want to make sure that we have at least 6 months saved up, right? Huge proponent of that. But I think what often happens is people save, and what you're doing is you're working for your money instead of making your money work for you. So today I want to talk about, rather than just saving your money, I want you guys to invest it. Now, before you just turn this off and say, oh, I'm not a rich person, I can't invest, the biggest thing I want you to really walk away from today with is knowing investing is for everyone. And I think that is something that our society doesn't do a very good job in educating us about, right? Like we should be learning this in schools. And I still remember learning this. And I'm so thankful and grateful that I was able to be able to learn this. And that's why I'm so passionate about sharing it. But I think the average person is not educated in this. And what I want you guys to know is investing is absolutely for everyone. It is not just for high net worth individuals, right? It's not just for rich people, okay? And the other thing I want you to know is the market, yes, goes up and down. And I think a lot of people have this idea that if they invest their money, they're going to lose it. And I want you to know that statistically speaking, from the beginning of days, the market is historically overall up. So what do I mean by that? Well, it means that it is we have historical data to prove that while the market does go down, it always goes up. So if you are in a long-term run investing, you're always going to eventually be up. So you might have good years and bad years, but at the end of the day, the return on your money is still going to be up. Okay. And I think that's something that scares a lot of people from trying it, right? I think the typical person believes, well, I'm not rich, so I can't invest, or I don't have money to risk, right? And what I want to tell you is I want you to contact, there's two companies. This isn't like a sponsored post or anything, but I've done my due diligence, and just based on their fees and level of customer service and their performance, I am a big fan of Fidelity and Vanguard. So the first thing I want you to do is set up a call with those companies. Contact Fidelity, contact Vanguard, and tell them I am looking to start investing my money. Now, there are two ways to invest your money. Okay. You can have a regular brokerage account, and then you can also have retirement accounts. Guys, retirement accounts are one of my absolute favorite ways to save on taxes. Okay. So you guys are always asking me, how do we pay less in taxes? How do we pay less in taxes? Set up a retirement account. And I think there's also this misinformation out there that because we're self-employed, we're business owners, we can't get retirement accounts. That's not true. There are wonderful retirement accounts set up for entrepreneurs. And what I would suggest you guys do is have a mixture of both. So absolutely make sure you have your retirement account. But I also want you to have a regular brokerage account, because instead of putting your money in the bank, in the savings account, where you're literally yielding $0 in interest, let's get it into an investment account. But I also don't want you to be in a situation where it's tied up in a retirement account and you can't take it out, right? So just get a regular investment account, a brokerage account. You can talk to Vanguard or Fidelity about it, right? This video is not to give you the ins and outs on how that all works. Like, you can speak to them about it. But what I do want you guys to understand, and I give this scenario often. Let's say that there's two moms, and from the time their kids are born, they are saving $1,000 a year for the child. One mother is investing it and putting it in a brokerage account. The other mother is simply putting it in the bank. Okay. By the time those kids are 18, the mother who invested it is going to be able to give her child a check for significantly more money. And we can actually run the numbers, and I'll show you guys what that's going to be, because I have a really great calculator here. But the key thing about that story is both mothers sacrificed and did the same. They both saved $1,000 a year for their children, but the one who invested it ended up making way more money. And I think if you guys can get past this mental roadblock that tells you that investing is only for the wealthy, or that investing is risky, right? If you can get past that mental roadblock, and guys, all I want you to do, the only take action from today that I want you to do, book the calls with Fidelity and Vanguard. let them educate you and really consider this, okay? Because it's life-changing. It's life-changing. When you can get to the point where your money is working for you, this is how you build generational wealth, okay? So essentially, the way you want to think about it, and I'm going to go over my calculator with you in a second, but what you're able to do is invest money throughout your lifetime, okay? And by the time you go to retire, you could have several $1,000,000 in the bank. And you could set yourself up in a situation where you live out your retirement literally just on the overage of those investments. So you never touch that core money that, let's say $2 million. You just take the interest off the top, and that's what you live off of each year. Now, when you pass, you can give that several $1,000,000 to your kids. So now your kids end up with several $1,000,000 and they can just live off the interest and never touch the several million, right? And then their kids and so on and so forth. And you guys, this is how you build generational wealth. This is exactly how you do it, because you get yourself into a situation where your money is working for you. And now you've got this beautiful brokerage account with all of this money in there, and you're able to skim off the top without ever touching your initial investment, right? You're not touching that principal. So that principal can continue to be passed down for generations and generations and in generations. And I just wish, guys, please, if you have ever shared a piece of my content, please make this be the one, because I just wish more people understood this and knew investing is not only for the wealthy, and it is historically proven that you will end up. Okay. Listen, you could do some crazy risky move and buy a stock and it tanks and you lose thousands of dollars. Yes, that could happen. I'm not talking about you taking that route. Okay. I'm talking about you contacting Fidelity or Vanguard. You can contact other companies. That's just the one that I've personally worked with, both of them, and talk to them about setting up an investment account as well as retirement accounts. Now, what I want to do is I've got this calculator, and it is a module in Profit Perfect, my signature program, which I told you guys at the beginning of this. We go through a module training on how to invest, because again, I don't want you guys just saving your money. I want your money working for you. And I include this calculator in the program, and I want to take you guys behind the scenes of it so you can really see how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And if you're listening on the podcast, okay, I definitely suggest that you guys head over to YouTube, search Denai Wolfe, DENAI, Wolfe, WOLFE, so that you can see this visual. But don't worry, you're still going to be able to listen to what the data actually shows. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say that the current age, okay, we're going to say that it's 1 year old, because remember, we're going to look at the example of the mom who saves, $1,000 a year for her child, right? So we're going to say this is set up as a retirement calculator. So we're going to say the retirement age is 18. All right. And we're going to say the current savings is $1,000 starting at year 1. And we're going to say that they're going to save $12,000 per year. And we're going to give it an 8% return. 8%, I would say, is fairly conservative. You are probably going to speak to Fidelity and Vanguard, and they're probably going to tell you more like a 9 or 10, but I always like to err on the side of caution. Okay, so we're going to put it in at 8%. All right. So what I want to show you guys, all right, if you start at age 1 and you're saving $1,000 a year for your child, right? By the time they are 18, they would have $408,000 in the bank. Okay, $408,000. However, if you had simply saved hold on. Sorry. Annual savings amount, 1,000. Sorry about that. I typed it in as 12,000. Joni, we're going to edit this out and we're going to start from the beginning here. Okay. So I'm going to head back here. All right. So now I'm going to share the screen. So let's take a look at this. In our scenario, we talked about a mother who was saving $1,000 a year for her child. And if she invested it, okay, versus a mother who was, okay, sorry, Joni, we're gonna start again. Okay, so let's talk about the scenario with the two mothers, right? Each mother is saving $1,000 a year for her child, but one of them is investing. So the mother who is simply saving $1,000 a year, we know that by the time the child is 18, they're going to have $18,000 in the bank. Now, let's see what happens with the mother who saves $1,000 a year and invests that money. Now, I've set the return at 8%. I will tell you that is a conservative number. When you speak to Fidelity and Vanguard, they are probably going to tell you that you can expect more of a 9 to 10% some years. But I really like to be more conservative with that, just err on the side of caution. And we are going to put that at the 8%. All right. So let's see what happens when we invest the money. By the time the child is 18, they have $37,450. Okay. Now I want you guys to really think about this. The mothers did the same exact amount of sacrificing and work, right? They each saved $1,000 a year for their child, but the one mother set up an account with Fidelity or Vanguard or some type of investment brokerage firm, and she had 37,000, right? Without lifting a finger. Like she did the same exact thing. Guys, this is what we mean when we say make your money work for you. So let's run that math real quick, right? We've got 37,450 minus the 18,000. $19,450 difference. So the other mother got an extra almost $20,000. Guys, how do you not get goosebumps when you hear that? And so often I hear people just saying, oh, I can't invest. It's too risky. I don't have enough money. Guys, please, investing is for everyone. And you are doing yourself and your family a huge disservice if you do not educate yourself on it. Okay. That's all I'm asking you to do. I know it can be scary, but I want you to educate yourself on it more. Okay. Please set up those calls and learn more about this. Now, let's look at some examples. That was an example of, children, but let's look at an example of retiring, okay? So let's say that you are 35 years old and you want to you want to retire at 55, okay? Let's say you currently have $50,000 in the bank, and let's say that you're going to save $12,000 per year, okay? You can see that by the time you're 55, you'd have $782,000 in the bank. Okay. Now, let's say that you ended up working until you were 60. Now you have 1.2 million in the bank at 60. Literally, guys, what I want you to take from this is simply by saving $1,000 a month, okay, at an 8% return, you had $1 million in the bank by the time you're 60. You guys should hear that and literally get the chills, because one of the first things I ask my students in Profit Perfect is, do you think you can become a millionaire in your lifetime? And they usually say, no. Like people are literally like, no, that's just not in the cards for me. Guys, look at these numbers. Like data doesn't lie. And this is saying you're starting at 35, right? Let's look at it and let's say that, think about it from our children's perspective, right? So let's say they have $0 in the bank. Let's say that they're saving $1,000 a year. Let's say that they're 1 year old. And let's say by the time they're, 45, right? Let's just see what happens if they were to, continue to do that. When we get here, right? They've got $158,000 in the bank simply by saving $1,000 a year. Okay. They should have only had $35,000 if they saved it in the bank, right? They've got 158. Now, let's say that you are 25 years old and you start saving, let's say you save more like $10,000 a year, right? By the time you're 54, you have $1 million. So you can play around with these numbers, but the moral of the story and what I want you guys to know is you can be the one who breaks the chain in your family. You can be the one who makes that change, makes that pivot and says, you know what? I'm going to get this family to a place of financial savviness. I'm going to be the one. It just takes one person, guys, one person to educate themselves and learn this and start creating this generational wealth. It is incredible knowledge. It is something that is not talked about enough. And I think when you look at this retirement calculator, right, you guys are really able to play around with this and plug in different numbers in various scenarios. But let's say you have, $50,000 in the bank already. Let's say you're 35, you want to retire at 65, and you're going to save $12,000 a year. So save $1,000 a month. You can see that we show you down here, by the time you would retire, right, which we put in as age 65, you would have $1.8 million in the bank. And here's what I want you to see. In order to leave 1.8 million in the bank, so you're not touching it and just living off the interest, your net payment each month would be $10,000. So that means that once you would turn 65, right, you would have $10,000 a month to save. That's net. Taxes are taken care of, everything's taken care of, and you still have $1.8 million in the bank. So you live on that 10,000 for the rest of your years, and then you leave your children 1.8 million. Now your children start playing with this calculator, but they're starting with $1 million, right? So by the time they hit 60, now you've got 2 million. Then their generation and their generation. Guys, you can be the one person who makes this change for your family. And all you need to do is educate yourself, okay? This stuff should be taught in schools, and it's not. So I'm doing my small part on my tiny corner of the internet. And if you're in my program, Profit Perfect, we walk in through this with more depth. You can see I also have the calculator here for you to consider what you'd get from Social Security when you retire. And then we have down here what happens if, let's say, your net amount, let's say that 10,000 wasn't enough to support you, right? I run through all this various scenarios at the bottom of the spreadsheet of how long your money would last. But the moral of the story here, guys, is you need to get to a place where your money is working for you. That is what you need to achieve. And I think we all hear it, but we've got this mindset that says, yeah, but that's for rich people. That's not for me. It is for you. Please, please schedule your appointment with Fidelity or Vanguard. They're not sponsoring me. I'm not that big for anybody to be sponsoring me. Like, I have no reason to be saying this to you other than I want you to win. I want you to succeed. And I know that getting this information and educating yourself on this and starting to invest, and guys, do it small, do $100 a month, right? It's still better than your money sitting in the bank earning zero interest or sitting under your mattress. I have genuinely spoken to people before who have money in their mattress. I'm not exaggerating. People have told me they have it in a coffee can. Like, I'm not joking, in their sock drawer, thousands of dollars. So I don't want that to be your story. I want your money to work for you. And I want you to feel empowered to know that you can do this. You can be the one who changes the trajectory of your family. You just have to get educated on it. Like I said, in Profit Perfect, we dive into this in much more depth, but I wanted to make this video to really just open your eyes and show you guys, like, think about that. The two moms, They did the same amount of work, but the other child's going to get $20,000 more than the other one just because the mom set up an account at Fidelity or Vanguard. So I hope this was beneficial. If you guys had any aha moments, please let me know in the comments. The more that you guys engage with my podcast, write a review, subscribe. If you make a comment on YouTube, it helps the algorithm so we can show this to more entrepreneurs. I believe everyone deserves to know this stuff. Knowledge is power, and we need to share the power. So please like and share and comment, and let's get this into as many hands as possible.